All right, looking at the On3 transfer portal rankings, we have talked about this a couple times because of the disparity between the school in Florida in Tallahassee and the school in Florida in Gainesville. So the portal rankings as of now go like this, Frank. Louisville 1, Colorado 2, Ole Miss 3, Florida State 4, South Carolina 5. If you are looking for the University of Florida, you literally have to click on the tab that says load more because they are not in the top 50. They come in at 58th in the portal rankings.
I don't know how accurate portal rankings are. It's obviously a new thing. On3 does it. And a lot of it is volume. I mean, one of the reasons Louisville is first is they've got 22 players coming in. I mean, Louisville and Colorado both have 22 players coming in, which is why they're high, so I get it. Florida's 58th, Hayes. Now, listen, I know it might not be totally accurate, but and I have not been on this Fire Billy train that everybody else is on. He's only been there 2 years. I think he inherited a mess. I think he is building culture and blah, 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 and I think he'll be a good recruiter in time. I think if he earns his fourth year, he's going to be pretty good. But we all know it's a brutal schedule. He returns a team that only won 5 games, and you have to win nowadays with a 22 or 23-year-old core. You can't win with 18 and 19. We all know that. We've watched Michigan, all those 23-year-old offensive linemen, and Georgia and Alabama and all these old veteran guys, and we all know that now. And so I am astounded that Florida, when it needed that portal the most, is 58. There's 65 FBS teams. There's 65. They're 58th. I just did the math. I'm a public school guy. That's like there's 7 from the bottom. Did you know that's how close that was? It's 7 from the bottom. You're a Bulls guy. I know. I did it off the top of my head. You're 50. I mean, if they don't get more good players than they already have, he has no chance to win more than 4 or 5 games next year, and then he's fired. And so I think I would have by now had 15 to 18 players, even if you're not getting great ones. And they continue to get beat by the Ole Misses of the world for all these guys. FSU's having a great portal year again. They're ranked 4th. And this isn't about how many guys are leaving. People say, well, Florida lost 24 guys. Well, they're all losing. Louisville lost 21. FSU lost 20. Everybody loses a bunch of guys. In the portal, anybody at the bottom of that 85 is leaving. So, and even though Florida's lost some good players, ETN and Princely and some others, they're not the only team losing good players. But I can't imagine. I would have had 15 or 18 guys now, even if it's guys that aren't great. You never know. The South Alabama guy that just went to Ole Miss, Florida really wanted him. His name's Yam.
I like Yams.
How does Florida not get Yam? How do you lose Yam to Ole Miss? Yam went to Ole Miss.
Ole Miss why? Again,
they must have something really going on there. I mean,
well, yeah, they have something going on. It's called they're going to compete for a playoff spot. I don't know why anyone would go to Florida. I mean, why would you go to Florida if you've got like one more year of college football?
Nebraska has 6 players coming in. They have 2 fewer than Florida, and they're ranked 18th in this thing.
So your transfers out and the rating of the players leaving does factor into your overall ranking.
Okay, so if you lose
Florida's
too many
good players leaving does significantly hurt them in the portal rankings.
I got you. Okay, I didn't know that. So
does this make you feel better? Florida is ahead in these rankings.
Yes, of who?
Of Clemson.
Okay.
Alabama, Georgia.
Okay.
Does that make you feel better?
No. Okay, because we all know why they're at the bottom. They don't need them. So, I mean.
And
I am surprised Clemson is taking no one out of the portal.
You know
he
what?
is doubling, tripling down on I will not embrace the portal.
And what's always going to help him.
I mean, I have no idea why Alabama didn't call him.
Yeah, right. What's always going to help him is the fact that he recruits so many good high school players in a league that doesn't. So he's recruiting he's getting 4- and 5-star high school guys, and he's playing in a league that, other than FSU, is not going to get those. So that'll always keep him afloat. I still think if you don't do a better job in the portal, they're never going to get back to being what Clemson was 4 or 5 years ago. But he's got that advantage. So to me, I am just beside myself that Florida hasn't. I mean, and again, I'm not anti-Billy. I don't want to see him get fired. I don't think they should fire him now. I don't think they should have fired him before, and I hope he makes it to his 4th year. But at some point, logic's got to tell you, we saw these players play last year. We saw Jamari Lyons and Des Watson. We saw them. We know how good they are. We know that the handful of good players they had, Ricky Pearsall's gone. Trevor Etienne's gone. Princely's gone. There's a handful left. Now, I think there are some good freshmen coming in, but you can't win like that. I thought by now he'd have 14 or 15 guys. I didn't think it'd be guys we knew. I thought it would be the 6'7", 312-pound starting right tackle from Colorado State that's better than people think. Didn't you think there'd be 15 of that? Again, I didn't think Alabama's starting linebacker was going there. I did think New Mexico's starting left guard would be going there. And there's not many of them.
I didn't think he would lose core players. So that losing Etienne and Umamalayan or Princely is, that was
phenomenal, by the way, but please continue.
That was, that really stung. If it's one thing if Princely decides to go into the draft, to go to a school that and continue his college career, like that's what I think was so damaging. I really don't think you need to be too worried about these rankings because of sort of what Lauren was saying. I think it's the way that they're structured was going to hurt Florida in the sense that you knew he was going to have at least 20 guys leave. We talked about that. They only had like 5 seniors on the team. And so even when the class started to lose players, they still were going to bring in way more true freshmen than they had spots for. So they were always going to have to lose 20 guys to the portal. Yeah, now they lost at least two, and you can make the case, that the
Scooby
Hill that went to A&M, and that there were some other good guys, but there were two of their best 5 players,
best offensive player, best defensive player
left. Yeah, and so that's where I think it's so devastating for Florida, is because that to me that action speaks so loudly, and it speaks to 2 of your leaders, 2 of your best players believe that nothing good is going to happen this year, that they've got to get out and go somewhere else to have the most fulfilling collegiate experience they can have. And that's sad. I mean, that's a sad state of affairs for where the Gators are under Billy Napier. And so I'm not overly bothered by these rankings, but, we talked about it in terms of the additions. The additions needed to be, oh, wow, Florida got him and Florida got him. And I mean, that really hasn't happened. They got the Penn defensive tackle that everybody wanted initially in December. And you hoped that would sort of propel them to winning 4 or 5 of those battles. But that was really the only one of consequence that they've won. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard. Like, I'm not bothered by Richie Leonard transferring to Florida State. I think he's woeful. So, I mean, I'm frankly surprised Florida State took him. Now, we were, joking with Matt Hayes about it. If Richie Leonard turns into a great player at FSU, well, then that's just another exhibit over how Florida has the wrong guy. Because my opinion is Richie Leonard is at best a rotational reserve at FSU.
I don't think he's a very good player, and I think I can live with the 24 that left, including Etienne and Princely and Scooby and Jaden, and I don't want that. But I understand that when you had a bad team, you don't look like you're necessarily going to have a better team. You have one more. I mean, Trevor Etienne, Gator fan isn't going to like this, but listen, Trevor Etienne wants to get to the league. He wants to have a good year. He wants to play behind Georgia's line, not Florida's awful line. I kind of get it. I don't like it. This isn't 1974 when you were be true to your school. That day's over, man. So I understand people. I don't like it. I'm not a proponent of it, but I understand it. So if Princely left and Etienne left, but you can't control that. You can't control it today. You could have controlled it before, but you can't control it today. What you can control is how many you're bringing in.
But if Ole Miss is recruiting against you in this transfer portal and they went 11-2 and just walloped Penn State. I just don't know why you don't follow the siren song of Lane Kiffin over Florida. To the same point as to why players are leaving, the same point as to why they wouldn't want to go there.
But if Yam goes to Ole Miss, which is crap.
Yeah, Yam Banks, the defensive back.
Okay. There's got to be another Yam.
He's not a sweet potato casserole.
How about can sweet potato come to Florida? I guess
but again,
point is,
why would you choose Florida over Ole Miss? The same reason Trevor Etienne wants to play for Georgia.
Yam's gone. I'm not asking him to choose Ole Miss. I'm talking get the next guy. That's my point. I'm not saying Yam. Get the next guy,
right,
and the next guy, and the next guy.
If
How
better
many people
schools are in competition for those guys with you, Florida's going to lose more often than not.
I guess, but are they going to lose to Louisville and Colorado and Cal? I mean, aren't there more guys? Are we out? Is the portal dry? Are we done? Is there nobody left in the portal, or is it out?
I think the portal is pretty. Unless you're Alabama or Washington, the portal's open for those players at those schools.
No. But my point is,
Arizona.
There's tons of players still in it. There's tons of players in the portal.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Why does Florida only have 8 guys? That my question is. Well, you got to evaluate them. You know, we all know if there's one criticism that we all agree, and I like Napier, but one criticism, he takes too long to evaluate the portal.
Right.
People close to him have told me that.
Well, this is the other.
That's my point.
I think problem with Billy Napier, but also, whether you view it as a problem or not, I think it's. I don't think Billy Napier feels like they're eons away from being good.
Correct.
I mean, which is probably naive.
Yeah.
But I think Billy Napier probably believes that, we need some help in the portal. But, we were an eyelash away from winning games. And let me tell you, we're close and, we're building it the right way. And the young freshmen that I had last year are now going to be sophomores and seasoned, and they're going to take a really big step. So I think we view it as Florida needs a ton of help. I don't know that the head coach sees it as they need a ton of help. They need help at some spots, but I don't think he views it as, well, I've got to change over the entire roster.
Well, and I think I think you're dead on. I think that's a good assessment of that, and I understand that. And if it's me, last year I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I said, in terms of how good he thought his team would be, you remember we had him at SEC Media Days, and he sat right next to me and said, listen, I think I know some things other people don't know. Remember that conversation? He said, I think our 2 defensive tackles will be the most physical, athletic best defensive tackle combination in the country. He was right about his quarterback. His quarterback did turn out to be damn good. But the rest of the team, he thought guys like Shane Matthews and me went into the season thinking they could get to 8 or 9 wins because the coach was so convinced of that. So now to your point, Hayes, if he's convinced again, I'm not sure, because if it's the guys I saw play last year, I saw them last year, and Cam Jackson and Caleb Banks and Des Watson and Jabari Lyons, who are going to be his front 4 guys, aren't great players. They're not. Maybe Justice Boone, who they lost, will be good. I think Cersei.
I doubt it, coming off an ACL.
It's an ACL. Cersei and Kelby Collins might be pretty good. I think they'll be pretty good players, but they're still second-year guys. I just find myself thinking, I really thought by now, honest to God, I thought Florida's got 9 guys that transferred in. I would have guessed by now that number would have been between 15 and 18. And I would. That's what it's volume that's got me. I think volume has a lot to do with them being 58th, and the volume's what has me concerned.
Well, then in addition to being not a great day game coach, you're worried about his talent evaluation. And that, to me, is probably even worse than making the wrong decisions about timeouts and having special teams issues. Yeah, if your head coach can't evaluate talent properly, you're in deep trouble.
And I think you know what I think it is, Lauren? I think it's more than that. I don't think it's. I think he probably does have a good eye for talent, but part of having an eye for talent, to Hayes' point a minute ago, is knowing where you are. You may see a player, you know what? I don't think he's right for us. Well, maybe he's not right for LSU or Alabama or Georgia, but he'd be right for you. I think you know what I mean? I think that's where the evaluation part comes in, is not just evaluating how good the player is, but evaluating your current team and is he not good enough for your current team? He might not be good enough for a really good Clemson team where he used to coach, or a really good Alabama team where he used to coach, but it might be a guy he nees to be taking. And I guess the number is, he's got 9 guys, and so
and look, this is a fun list. All these things are always
who
fun
knows
as
if
a
the portal's
sports fan.
right.
But are we really going to put a lot of stock in something where Louisville's first?
Yeah. No,
I mean, I'm serious. Like, Louisville's first in this thing.
Yeah.
So why would I take this thing seriously at all as a metric? Here's my.
Then let me. You're right. Good point. So let me change my thought a little bit. Forget this ranking.
Okay.
He's got 8 guys coming in, and I know his roster, and I can't imagine that if he doesn't add to that roster more than 8 guys against that schedule, he's got no chance. I guess that's my point. Who's catching the ball? I mean, Trey Wilson.
I'm with you on that.
Trey Wilson. I mean, I would expect they got hopefully the guy from Wisconsin's good. I mean, who's blocking in the interior? Jake Slaughter. Hayes Carline gives Jake Slaughter the swim move. Okay, I don't think he can. Carline and Slaughter. Who are you taking right now? Who are you taking? I'm taking Carline. I don't even have to think twice about it.
I'm getting low. I can tell you that.
But I mean, I want
my only chance.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, who's playing center? Is it this guy Kearney from Orange Park? Maybe. I mean, because he's a great prospect, but then he'd be a first-year player.
Right.
That's my point. You know what? You know who I want the center to be? Let me tell you who I want the center to be. I want the center to be
26 years old.
The 4th-year guy from UTEP.
Yeah.
That I've never heard of. That's 6'3.5", 312, and has started 27 games at UTEP. That's who I want the center to be.
Right.
And I don't think that guy's there. That's my point.
Yeah, I mean, in looking at it, I mean, it's hard to get overly excited about where they are. I mean, he's got 16 offensive linemen on scholarship, but again, it seems like a lot of this is the incoming class, which it's just a fool's errand to expect that any of those guys are going to be amazing in the trenches in year one. And it's guys that just haven't really proven they can do much. I mean, now maybe are you moving George and Waits inside, and is now maybe
because he's got a couple tackles in the transfer portal.
Yeah, he's got that's right. So and maybe these guys will turn out to maybe the few he picked will turn out to be good. Let me take the receivers next year. Let me see your starting receivers. Trey Wilson is a very good player. Okay, the dude from Wisconsin he was at Wisconsin. No, who knows how good he is. Gene and Mizell, who were not good enough to get on the field last year when they didn't have any receivers.
Right.
I mean, when Caleb Douglas was hurt and they had 2 guys, those 2 guys were not good enough to beat out Khalil Jackson.
And then you got 2 incoming freshmen, Hawkins and Abrams,
right.
But they're more speed guys. It's hard to believe they're going to be able to really help you when it's like 3rd and 7 and you need to move the chains.